Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello. How's it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I hope the sun is shining wherever you may be. Today, I want to talk about letting go of things that no longer serve you. It can be really, really difficult to let go of things in our lives for so many different reasons and so many different aspects of life. And I find this is such a broad topic that we can talk about because we let go of things on a day-to-day basis when we don't really realize it. Sometimes we're forced to let go of things, whether that be, maybe we're fired from our job or we get dumped or, we have to move. I don't know. Something happens that forces us to let go, that forces us to start that moving on process. And then other times we have to sometimes come to the realization that it's time to let go of something that no longer serves us. And coming to that realization can be extremely difficult. And it's actually quite scary, I think, once you do come to that realization sometimes, because it's like that you need to let go, but that's such a small sliver of it is, being aware of it. It's a great first step, being aware that you need to let go of something. But the real hard work comes in actually letting go and being able to move on in your life within that aspect. And it can affect you in so many different ways. If you have to let go of something, maybe in your personal life, it can affect your work life, or you have to let something go in your work life. It affects your personal life, right? It kind of goes hand in hand with things. And so we always have to be careful and aware of ourselves, of the things that are no longer serving us, because when we hold on to something that is no longer serving us the proper way that it should, that's just something holding us back from creating the life we want to live and be the person that we want to be. And being aware of the things that you want to let go, like I said, is a great first step. And sometimes it is a really hard first step, is being aware that we have to let go of something. So I definitely will talk about that today. But I'm also just going to be talking about ways that we can start to let go, finding out those things that don't serve us properly anymore and learning how to move on from that. Just tips to kind of form the art of letting go, which it sounds weird, but I just think that in every aspect of our life, we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning. And like I say all the time during this podcast, every single day is a new opportunity to learn about ourselves and to grow. And part of that process, learning new things and absorbing new information and moving on to different aspects of your life, that is so exciting. And it's such a cool thing to think about. And when you get on that path of a new journey, of a new chapter, that is so exciting to me, because it's just something new and exciting, and I love that stuff. I love being pushed outside that comfort zone and experiencing something new. But a lot of new experiences comes with letting go of old experiences and old memories. And I'm not saying that we need to let go of our memories or something like that, but sometimes we do need to let go of something or someone or a situation so that we can continue to grow ourselves and we can continue to become a better person. And so once you realize that something is holding you back, that it's no longer serving you properly, then we need to start making the next steps to actually move on in life and to let go of that. But we spend so much time of our life forming attachments to things and people, places, thoughts, our emotions. We are literally constantly just overburdened with attachment. That is just part of our human nature. We get attached to things, and some people get attached more than others. Some are able to distance themselves, and others are, attached right away with, no questions asked. There's an attachment there. And I find that we get really easily attached to people, because once we get comfortable with somebody, then, it's hard to let go of that, even if they aren't right for us, or they're not right for our life. We get attached to places. So when we're living somewhere and we're just attached to it because we're so comfortable with it, right? We're so comfortable living in this house that we've always lived in. Why would I want to go anywhere else? Or I'm so comfortable living in my small town. Why would I want to move to a big city? That sounds scary. That's new, right? Or we get attached to different thoughts. This could do, a lot of things with our self-esteem. Often we get attached to thoughts, I'll never be good enough. I'll never be skinny enough. I'll never, lose that weight, or I'll never look that certain way. My hair will never look like that. And you get attached to these negative thoughts that are associated with your self-esteem. We get attached to emotions. So often when we feel very, very low on ourselves, and maybe if we feel depressed or we feel very anxious, sometimes when you're stuck in that mindset for such a long time, it's hard to let go of that sadness, and it's hard to let go of that emotion because we're so comfortable with it. It's also hard to let go of fear, of, resentment, holding a grudge maybe. Maybe you're holding on to a grudge that is, tearing you down on the inside. And sometimes we don't realize that something isn't serving us properly because it's internal, and we just feel like, I've always had this emotion towards that situation or towards that person. I've already had these emotions, while I'm in this environment. And so we think that's normal. But a lot of the time, if those negative emotions are associated with a big aspect in our life, that's something that we probably need to work on, and we need to figure out and try to turn that negative into a positive. So suffering, from holding on to things that do not serve us, means basically we're holding on to things that we're comfortable with, right? Everything I just mentioned, it's because we're comfortable with those things. We are comfortable with the people that we surround ourselves with. Like, I just going to use relationships as an example in this episode because I just find it's the most basic and easy to understand example. But when we are dating somebody, we're in a relationship for a very long time, you become very comfortable with that person, right? And so you can't imagine your life without them, because for a huge chunk of your life, or a few years, or whatever the case is, they were such a strong part of your life. And so how do you, it's hard to imagine a life without them when they were, your ride or die for those executive amount of years. Same with, living in a certain place. Well, I always grew up in my small town. What do you mean I don't want to leave because I'm just so comfortable here. I know where everything is. I know all the great pathways, the view spots, I know where to go for good ice cream, or where to go for a good breakfast, or whatever those cases is. We get comfortable with that. We get attached to it because we get attached to our comfortability, right? And that's why I constantly talk about being pushed outside of our comfort zone, because we do not grow unless we are pushed outside of our comfort zone. And so staying in your small town that you're comfortable in is quite the nice feeling when you're there, but you eventually are going to completely hold yourself back from other opportunities because you're not even giving yourself a chance to go outside and see what else is there. You're not giving yourself a chance to go move to a new big city and see how you like it. You know what? Maybe you don't like it. And that's okay to not like it. You don't have to like every single thing that you try that's new, but it's the matter of the fact that you tried to do that, something new. You tried, you gave it a shot. And if you give it a real shot, your honest, best shot, you didn't just stay there for a week and said, nope, don't like it, and head back home. If you actually gave it your honest, try, you gave your shot and you just didn't like it, that's okay. We can still go back to the places that we're comfortable with. But really what I want to talk today about is actually moving on from the things that are no longer serving us. So maybe your small town is no longer serving you. As much as you might hate living in a big city, that's going to serve you better than your small town could serve you. As much as you don't want to break up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, if they are holding you back or they are not in the same place that you are, that is no longer serving you properly, and it's holding you back from becoming the best version of you and all that potential growth that could happen. So we have to be able to first pinpoint the things that are no longer serving us. And so, my suggestion for this is always paying attention to our triggers, things that upset us. If you ever feel like, why am I here? You have that moment of, this again? Why am I feeling this way again? And it's a really good way to be emotionally aware of yourself, because that can really be your indicator of your trigger of just something that is no longer serving you. If you're walking into work every single day, dreading it, hating it, feeling like it's a dead-end job, feeling like you're not learning anything new at your job. I know we work at the same job, for a consecutive amount of years maybe, or whatever the case is. And so we get comfortable and, maybe you're not learning something new every single day, but it still should be a learning process. You should still be able to grow within yourself or within the company, whatever the case is, and continue to grow and move on and better yourself. But if you're walking into work every single day feeling like you're learning absolutely nothing new, you're getting nothing out of it, nothing positive out of it, well, it's probably not serving you. So that emotion of, I have to be here again, probably a good indicator that maybe it's time to let go of that, because it doesn't serve you. It's not making you happy. It's not letting you grow. It's not helping you in different aspects of your life, and you're dreading it every day. You're waking up and not wanting to go to work. Or, the small town example again. If you are in your small town and you're, I can't do anything. There's nothing to do here. What am I going to do for work? What am I going to do? You're constantly, working at, a restaurant or a coffee shop, and it's not your dream. That's not what you want to do. You want to go and, you want to make it big on the TV or whatever the case you want to do. You have to leave your small town to do that, because that small town doesn't give you the opportunities that you need in life to continue to grow and to move on. Okay, so today's going to be all about letting go of the things that no longer serve you. Now, it's time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. When we get back, I'm going to be talking more about some tips of how we can let go, how we can identify things to let go, regulating our emotions, all that good stuff. I have so much information to share with you today, so don't go anywhere.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Okay, we are back, and we are talking all about letting go of the things that no longer serve us. So I'm talking about how, it's really scary to let go of something that we're comfortable with, of course, because we're comfortable with it. We don't want to let go of that comfortability. That is normal. But we have to let go of it to continue to grow in our lives. Another reason why we hold ourselves back from letting go of something is because we're scared of starting at zero. And I say that with air quotations because we never have to, I don't think, we're ever really starting back at zero, right? We're learning from this experience. We're learning from the things that we are letting go. And so, but it often does feel like we're starting from complete zero. Whether you are moving to a different town, or you're breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, it feels like we have to start over. Because when you're in a relationship or a job or whatever situation that we get so comfortable in, it's easy to make sense of that relationship or the place that we are in, even if it's toxic, even if it's not good for us. But we make sense of it, and we are comfortable because we're so comfortable with it, right? So it's very hard to make sense of things when you feel like you're starting from zero. It's like everything has kind of wiped from underneath you, and it's like, where do I even begin? I'm starting from zero. So sometimes we only partially let go of things, but not fully. And then later on down the road, it's like, okay, maybe I do need to fully let go of something. So, it's starting at zero that's quite terrifying, right? It's that raw sense of uncertainty that scares us, and it's a lack of, the identity that we constructed over time with that certain situation. So whether it's that relationship, you feel that identity within that relationship. You feel your identity in your hometown, your small town. You feel that identity at the job you've worked at for the past 10 years. How are you supposed to move on and start from zero after all of that? Well, my first thing to say is that I really don't think we're starting at zero. I think we're actually starting at, okay, sure, we're starting at the number 0, but I feel like we have a good base of, if we are able to make the realization that it's time to let go of something, you are not starting at 0. That is such a huge sign of growth. That is such a huge sign of, wanting to take care of yourself and wanting to be the best version of yourself, that there's no way you're starting at 0. You're already way higher up there, and it just feels like you're having almost like a fresh start. But fresh starts are scary, but they're also absolutely wonderful and make you feel super good. But, when we have to let go of something, it's quite hard to just bounce back right away and go after that new job or go move to that city or try to go out there and date again. It's really scary because, we think that we want to do all these, I'm going to focus on my self-improvement. I'm going to build, a new love, that social life. I'm going to, build this life that I want. We get all this excitement. I'm going to start over and I'm just going to do it all. But we get sad and we get scared, and sometimes it takes us a little while to actually kind of restart again. And so my advice for that is to take things really slowly, step by step. If you did have a bad breakup or you got fired from your job, that is an emotion. That is a very heavy situation that you have to let yourself feel out. And that is something that you were attached to for a very long time. So you have to know to be patient with yourself when you are letting go of these things, because you were attached to that. You were clinged on to that situation for a long time, or to that person, or to that place. And so you are attached to that, and how are you supposed to let go of something that you were so attached to? It's terrifying, and it does feel like you're starting from 0, even though you're not. So you have to be gentle with yourself and continue to show yourself compassion and kindness, and just take baby steps along the way. But the thing that I think will keep you going and that will help you, to continue to let go of those things is that knowing that when you are unattached, you have inner freedom. You have no investment in a particular outcome, so you can just do whatever you want. You can do what you feel is right in that moment. And if you are really focusing on taking care of yourself, loving yourself unconditionally, working on that compassion and that kindness for yourself, then I think letting go of things is a great opportunity to put those skills into action and to work on yourself more and to give yourself that time. I think a lot of the time when we let go of things, we're scared of being alone, especially if we're breaking up in a relationship, or we're scared of moving somewhere new and not knowing anybody, not having that support that we once had, that attachment that we once had, that identity or that comfortability that we once had. It's quite terrifying to let go of that. And so we kind of get into this point where we only sort of let go of things, and then maybe we realize down the road, okay, maybe we need to let go a little bit more. I'm telling you, we need to let go fully right off the bat. So it's going to hurt. It's going to suck, but we have to show ourselves compassion through every single step of letting go. So let yourself feel your emotions. Let yourself be sad about your breakup, or let yourself be sad that you're leaving your hometown to a new start. It's exciting to get a new start, but it's also terrifying. And so you have to let yourself feel those emotions, because if you don't, you're going to be bottling them down, and you're going to start working on yourself, and things might seem great in your new town, like everything's going so well, but deep down, you haven't actually dealt with that attachment that you once had. So, there's also might be a particular thing that never really did serve you to begin with, but you didn't realize it, and now you are. And if that's the case, sometimes it's easier to let go of those things compared to the things that did serve us for a chapter in our lives. And if then I think a really, really important thing of letting go of the things that don't serve us is understanding that there's new chapters in life, and that when one door closes, another door will open, even though it doesn't seem like it. And maybe that door is not going to open the next day or a week later or 2 weeks later or months later or even a year later. Maybe it could open 5 years later, that right door for you, but another door will open. And it doesn't mean that you're shutting the door on that aspect of your life or that chapter of your life. It's just, it means that you're ready to move on. You're ready to close that door and either make yourself the opportunity for a new door to open, make that happen for yourself, or another door will open automatically at some point, I promise. So just because it feels like we are letting go of a certain aspect of our life doesn't mean that we have to say goodbye to it and never revisit those memories, never revisit those emotions, those thoughts, that place ever again. No, we don't have to just completely say goodbye to it. But we have to understand that we go through so many chapters in life that, yes, a door is going to close and it's probably going to hurt because it might slam in your face, and that sucks. But you will pick yourself back up and a new door will open. So you have to let yourself accept those things that you need to let go. And this could take a while. I always say journal, reflect, think about things closely, really try to write things down. And when you're starting to really pay attention to the things that you do need to let go of, start making an inventory list. This is my first big tip for you, is taking an inventory of your current circumstances and then investigating those areas which are causing you to be unhappy and unfulfilled. This is going to help you decide of the things that you need to let go. So make a list of physical possessions, your beliefs, values, obligations, habits, hobbies, goals, relationships, connections, commitments, all these things. Write a list of these things. Okay? And this is I start small and create the right intentions. So make a list of your inventory. Understand, and then really pay attention to what is making you happy. What is giving you growth in life? What is pushing you to be better? What is making you feel good about yourself? What's making you not feel good about yourself? What's holding you back? What's making you upset? Things like that, right? So write an inventory of your life. Sounds weird. But write an inventory of your life and go through it step by step. And make it your goal to eliminate 30% of that list. So, and once you start to figure out, hey, that thing really doesn't make me that happy. Oh, that doesn't either. That doesn't either. Oh, that doesn't either. You will find 30% of your list wiped out way quicker than you ever thought it was going to be wiped out. Because we don't realize the things that are hurting us or the things that are holding us back until sometimes we get a door slammed in our face. Or sometimes we don't realize it at all until we actually go back and reflect on it and go, oh, yeah, that does make me feel crappy about myself. Oh, I do hate my job that I walk into every morning. Maybe that's why I've been such a grouch the past 5 years. You know what I mean? And sometimes we don't connect with it and realize those things. So writing this inventory list, putting it out in front of you, and then just make it your goal to eliminate 30%. If you can eliminate more things out of your life, do it. And I'm not saying just chop away, cut people out of your life, cut things, throw away all your belongings. No. But eliminate the things that are no longer serving you properly, that are no longer pushing you to be the best version of yourself, that is no longer making you happy. You'll be surprised at the things you realize when you write these things out in front of you. Another thing that we can do to start small but creating the right intentions is, maybe you don't want to make a whole inventory list of your entire life, your beliefs, your values, obligations, your physical possessions, hobbies, all those things. Okay, maybe that's too big to start for you. Maybe you just really need to start with physical possessions. Start with your closet. Is there things that you can give away out of your closet? Probably. I bet you there's a lot of things you haven't worn that you can give to Goodwill. First of all, you're purging your closet. That's going to declutter. It's going to help your brain. It's going to help your workload. It's going to help all that kind of stuff. You're also giving it to a good cause. Give it to the Salvation Army or Goodwill or whatever kind of donation place you have in your community. And it's going to make you feel good because you're giving back to the community. It's also going to make you feel good because you're decluttered. You're letting things go that okay, so maybe, and those clothes probably no longer serve you. If you haven't worn them in 5 years, they're no longer serving you. Get rid of them to somebody that will wear them. And so that sounds small. Purging my closet, I do that twice a year. Yeah, well, do it again and see how you feel about it, because sometimes just letting go of clothes can actually make a difference in your life. So, if this is, the inventory list of your life is a little bit overwhelming, just pick one part. Pick your physical possessions. Pick your closet. Pick your nightstand. Pick your junk drawer. What can I get rid of in my junk drawer? Bet you there's a bunch of stuff you can, right? So start small with those things, but you're creating the right intentions to let go of things that are no longer serving you. So all of a sudden, letting go of the clothes in your closet is going to become a lot easier. And then when that becomes a lot easier, and then you start purging your kitchen, you start purging other places of your house, and now you're finally ready to start purging maybe some beliefs or some values or some obligations, some habits that maybe aren't so healthy, maybe some relationships in your life that aren't so healthy, maybe some commitments or some goals that aren't serving you any longer. But I find starting with physical things that you own and getting rid of those is a really good first initial step into letting go of bigger aspects of your life. All right, it's time for another break, but don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with lots more tips and tricks to let go of things that do not serve you.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. We are back talking about letting go of things that no longer serve you. So, make your inventory list, whether you just start with your closet and you work all the way up to your beliefs and your values, or, you can do it all at once. Try to eliminate at least 30% of your list and see how you feel. Make a personal statement to yourself and to the universe that you will be guided towards passing on these items to people or charities that are in need of these donations. Like I said, this is going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel like you are letting go of things that no longer serve you, that can serve other people. It's going to make letting go of those things a lot easier. Hey, this is my favorite sweater. I've worn this for 20 years. What do you mean I have to let go of this thing even though it doesn't fit me anymore? Hey, maybe that can be someone else's favorite sweater. Does that make you feel good about it? Doesn't your favorite sweater deserve to be somebody else's favorite sweater if you love it that much? You know what I mean? So try to, if that's your first step, giving to charity, giving your clothes away, whatever that case is, it's a very good first initial step. Now, so there's things that are going to be a lot easier to let go of compared to other things that you might have more of attachment to. You might have more of a history with, more experiences with, and that comes with a lot more baggage, I guess, to let go of those things. So one thing I find letting go of people is one of the most difficult things we do, because as humans, obviously, we crave other human connection, right? We love that human connection, that feeling of feeling connected to somebody, someone just knowing you so well and you knowing them so well. And that attachment, it is strong. Human connection and attachment, it is strong. And so when you have to let go of something like that, that is very difficult. And that can put quite a strain on many different aspects of your life. My biggest tip for this, which I think helps so much, is writing a letter to someone from your past or someone that you need to let go of. This, I know it sounds kind of weird, but writing a letter to somebody, whether you send it to them or not, it might make you feel like you can let go of them because you've said everything that you need to say. You've let all your emotions out. And like I said, even if they don't read the letter, at least you got everything out that you want to say. I think a lot of the time when we have to let go of somebody, especially if it's in a relationship aspect, sometimes we don't get to say all the things we want to say. Or we don't get to express our feelings the way that we feel like we should express them, or the way that we want to express them. And so, because maybe we feel like we're not going to be heard, or we feel like, there's just no point. I need to let go of this. And maybe there is no point to express your feelings that way, or to that person. But always, you can't bottle those feelings down, so you need to have an outlet for it. And so I find writing a letter that is addressed to the specific person that you need to let go of, or you need to move on from, is such a interesting and beneficial way to find closure for yourself. Maybe you don't get closure from that person, so having this letter, writing this letter, and letting out all your feelings and everything that's going on in your head out on a piece of paper that you intend, kind of in the back of your mind, you're intending them to read it. These are the things that you want them to know. All of a sudden, once you're done writing that letter, you're going to feel such a relief off of your shoulders. Okay, and now I released everything that was in my head, and now I do feel more prepared to move on, because you don't have those things stuck in the back of your mind. If you don't say what you need to say, if you don't let out your emotions that you need to let out, it's always going to be in the back of your head, and it's going to be very difficult to actually move on from that person or from that situation. So write it down. Another good way to let go of things is when your head is super busy and you have that narrative in your head. Maybe you're feeling anxious about something. Maybe you're feeling anxious letting go of your job or moving out of your town. Try to write down your narrative for a while. Now, this sounds really weird. I'm not saying to write, just for one day. So take, maybe an hour, or when your mind starts to go busy, start writing down your narrative. Try this once a day for a week, for 20 minutes even. Write down your narrative in your head when your head starts to turn a little bit. And see, and then after a week of doing this for the time being, it's going to show you so much what's going in your head. And some of it, you'll look back, at the end of the week and go, what? That was so irrational. That wasn't even making sense. Why am I thinking about that? And it just kind of gives you some clarity of the thought process that's going through your head, and kind of shows yourself, are you being rational? Are you being irrational? Is this going to, help me let go of this situation? Or am I holding on to things that really are no longer serving me? Are these thoughts in my head serving me? Are these thoughts, going to push me to be a better person? Are these thoughts positive? And if they are, okay, maybe that's good. Maybe you need to reflect more on that. But if they're not positive, those are things that you need to let go of. You need to purge, and writing them down and just physically seeing them for yourself and putting your narrative down on a piece of paper does wonders, because we constantly hear the voice inside of our head, whatever is going on in our head, right? But actually writing those things down, you see how ridiculous the things you say to yourself is once you put it on a piece of paper. I tried this exercise, and it blew my mind that I was literally cringing writing down my own narrative because of the stuff that was going on in my head. Once I actually started to write it down physically, I'm like, that makes no sense. Why am I thinking that? That makes absolutely no sense. Why? I don't even want to write that down. It made me, angry. I was like, what? I'm not even making any sense. So writing them down and putting it in front of you is just a super good way to get that clarity. Another good thing is to think back on major stages of your life and things that you need to let go from those stages. So this is kind of looking at things in a bigger perspective, I guess. So maybe look back at your childhood stage. Is there things that you're still holding on to that are no longer serving you? Maybe there's a stage through high school you gotta let go of, or university, or whatever the case is. Maybe there's a stage through a relationship, or a place that you lived, or a trip that you went on. Major stages in your life, think back to those, and what can I purge from that stage? What can I purge that's not serving me anymore? Ask yourself, what keeps you from enjoying the things you value in life? Okay, so think about your enjoyment versus your value. So write down things that you value in your life. Okay, I value my friends, my friendships. I value my family. I value my home. I value my job. I value these things. Okay, and now, is there any aspect of those categories that you aren't enjoying? Those values in your life, is there certain things you don't enjoy about them? Try writing those down. So think about your values and your enjoyments. Are they aligned? If they're not aligned, you got to try to cut things out or maybe add some things in to try to enjoy everything that you value in life, of course, right? You will notice that you align yourself with things that really matter. Once you actually start to let go of things, you will become aware of the things that are important to you, and that you will allow yourself that room and space for them in your life. It may not seem like it. It's like, why do I have so many things I need to let go of? That's natural. That is so normal. But once you start getting more comfortable with letting go of things that no longer serve you, all of a sudden things in your life are going to be so aligned with your values and your goals and your commitments and all those things that you want, because you've made room for them. And it's like when you release positive energy, you're going to get positive energy. So when you move those negative things out of your life, things that are no longer serving you, you're making room for things that do serve you, that do make you happy. So letting go of things which do not serve you, it also brings you this sense of satisfaction. It's lifting that weight off your shoulder that you no longer need, right? So you will notice the inner reward that comes to you when you are doing things which bring you actually happiness and joy, and that you're going to no longer attract toxic or negative situations. All of a sudden, when you let go of those situations, all of a sudden good things are going to start happening, because you're going to be doing good things and more good things are going to happen, and it's that train effect. So release those negative things, release those things that are no longer serving you, that are no longer pushing you to be the best version of yourself, and you're going to leave yourself so much room for things that do serve you and things that do make you happy and things that do make you become the best version of yourself. So be open, be receptive to the unknown by creating a space in your life for these occurrences. And you're not starting at zero. But if you have to say, I feel like I'm starting at zero, I just have to say, starting at zero means freedom. Starting at zero means a clean slate. There's no grudges, there's no things, there's no history to hold on to. You have a new opportunity to try new things with no influences, nothing like that. You have more options, you have more opportunities. You don't have to, care about whatever influence, whether it's a relationship or your old boss or your old town holding you back. You don't have to worry about those things that are influencing your new ideas or your new experiences that you're going to do. It's a time to be selfish if you feel like you're starting at zero. I just have to say, you're not starting at zero. But if you feel like you're starting at zero, it's time to be selfish. It's time to think about you and what you truly want. And it's trying to think about that freedom and the new things that you want to try. And there's just no outside factors that can impact the way that you want to live your life. You get to live your life the way that you want when you're starting from zero, or you're starting from your clean slate. Okay? I hope that made sense. So starting from zero, first of all, is not starting from zero, but is a freedom, it's a clean slate, a new opportunity to make the life you want. Start small when you are letting go. Make a list of your inventory things. Make a list of things that, your values and your enjoyments. Compare those. Think back on major stages of your life. Purge your closet and donate it to somebody else that it will serve them. You got to think back and really try to understand different aspects of your life, and always remember that even if a door slams in your face, whether you shut it yourself or it slams in your face, a new one will open. It might not be the next day. It might not be 6 months from then, but it will open. And a better opportunity will come. And it will better your life. And you will become the best version of yourself. So, one chapter over, new chapter started. One door closes, another one opens. All right. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate you being here. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when there's a new episode. Like and follow us on social media. I update those regularly, and leave a 5-star review because it helps so much, and I absolutely love looking at the reviews and comments. So please do not forget to do that. I greatly appreciate you being here. I hope the rest of your day is filled with joy, and I hope you are able to let go of the things that no longer serve you. Thank you so much. Till next time.
You've been been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.